Enchanté.
You're listening to the What the Fab podcast, where empowered women empower women through candid conversations, inspiring stories, and tangible tips. I'm your host, Elise Armitage. I'm a digital creator, and I left my 9-to-5 job at Google to chase my dreams of being an entrepreneur. I'm so happy to have you here. Let's get into some real talk. Hello, and welcome back to the What the Fab podcast. We're on episode 38. And it's a fun one. I've been really having fun changing things up, doing different types of interviews, exploring different topics that I haven't touched on before for solo episodes. And today is no different. We're doing something different than what I've done in the past. We have the first ever male guest coming on the podcast today, and it is my sweet husband, Omied. So I mentioned this in our conversation that we're about to get into, but up until now, I have really been focused on, when I'm thinking about potential guests, elevating other female voices and thinking about who are other women that I want to, invite on the podcast, have them share their story, have myself and listeners learn from. And it was suggested by Anissa, What the Fab's content manager, that Omied and I do a little Q&A. And she was like, I think people are curious about the guy behind the camera, the guy behind the lens. He's more behind the scenes. He's obviously a lot more private than I am. And I was like, you know what? You're right. That's a great idea. I have certainly noticed that whenever I post a picture or a story with Omied in it, it gets a lot more engagement. Which I don't know if I should be offended by that, but I think it's natural. People are just kind of naturally curious about him and our relationship, especially because I don't, post a ton about him, and he doesn't post a ton about himself on Instagram either. And we do have a unique love story. We met when I was 16 years old. We're high school sweethearts. We get into the whole thing in this episode, but this one's a fun one. And there were just some really funny moments, some awkward moments when we get into the juicy stuff, but I think that you will enjoy it. So I'm not going to make you wait any longer. Let's dive right in. Okay, so we're just going to dive into the big sigh. You're so cute.
It's fine. I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, I'm excited because you're actually the first man to come on the What the Fab podcast, because I've been really focused on for all of my interviews thinking about what are other female voices that I want to elevate. So how do you feel about that?
Feels pretty natural for me to be the first guy. I get it.
You'd be offended if you weren't.
A little bit. But it's okay.
Well, I'm excited, and this idea for this topic actually came up from Anissa. So Anissa is What the Fab's content manager, and she was like, I think people want to know more about Omied, the guy behind the camera, your relationship, how he started, how he helped you start the blog and What the Fab, and just kind of a little more juicy details from your relationship. So she helped put together some starter questions. I also threw up a question box on stories, and so we're going to kind of dive into a mix of both of those.
Sounds good. By the way, this is my second time on a podcast. It's not my first time.
On my podcast?
I know.
Okay.
I have experience.
Wait, what other podcast were you on?
When my first company I worked for had an architecture podcast, and I got...
Leonakis?
Yeah.
Oh.
I got invited to speak, and so I kind of learned, how it's very awkward if you stop talking, and it was a lot of pressure for me.
You were a baby. You worked there right fresh out of college.
I know. It was just a thing a lot of the younger kids were starting, and I was like, yeah, that sounds fun.
That's so cute. Wait, that's very ahead of the times. Now everyone has a podcast, but back then...
This was 2011.
Yeah, that was what's a podcast?
I know, but it was the thing you have to do is just keep talking. Awkward silence is a no-no, and I just remember spewing stuff I just kept talking because I felt like having silence was super awkward.
Well, you can edit it. Did they not edit?
That's the thing, though. It was back then...
They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, it was pioneers. They were pioneers.
That's so cute. You never told me that.
it was a one-off. It was like, an hour-long podcast.
I would have listened to it. I want to find the podcast and listen to it.
I think it was just like an intranet thing. It was like totally internal. Yeah.
Oh.
It wasn't like on Apple. This was back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay, well, I love how this is starting because I'm already learning things about you.
I'll try to find it.
That I didn't know. Okay, the first question, this is an obvious one that I think makes sense to start off our conversation, but how did you two meet? Tell us the story. You want to take this?
You want me to go first, or?
I love telling the story of how we met, so can I start?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Omied and I met in high school. I was 16 and he had just turned 18, and we had a few mutual friends, and we were both part of this club. It was called Key Club, and it was basically like...
No, it was International Club.
Oh.
Sorry.
Nope, you're right.
Not to interrupt you, but that's the...
You're right. It was called International Club, and it was kind of like a club so you can get some community service, basically like, oh, shit, I'm a junior, and I'm starting to have to apply for colleges soon, and I don't have any community service, so let me join this club and get some community service hours. So there had been a tsunami in... Thailand. And so we were raising money for tsunami victims by hosting this like dance at the community center. If you're from El Dorado Hills, shout out to the CSD. And we ended up working the admissions table together. And I was like, oh my gosh, he is so cute. Like, play it cool, like be a little bit flirty, but like a little nonchalant. And we just ended up chatting while we were working at the table. And afterwards, I was like, I really want to get to know him. He added me on MySpace, which really like dates and puts that like timestamp on the era that we met. And then things just evolved from there. We started dating pretty quickly, and I fell head over heels for you.
Yeah, you want to tell them about the first comment you left on my first MySpace photo?
Oh.
It was a photo of me, when I was a little kid. I was probably like 5 years old or something.
And, I remember.
Yeah, and you left a comment. You were like, "You were so adorable. I guess you've always been cute." Winky face.
I went for what I wanted, ladies. I was like, I want this guy. I want to get to know him. I'm going to make that clear.
Yeah, and I was like, I guess she likes me.
Oh, yeah.
I was hard at taking hints.
Yes, because this is the other thing that I later learned about Omied is that he kind of had this like complex where he didn't think that he was attractive. I mean, this is a podcast, but we're also going to put it on YouTube later. But like, I mean, look at this handsome man. Like, he didn't think he was attractive. He was like the chubby kid growing up, and like...
Yeah, it's fat boy mentality.
Yeah, he had a fat kid complex. And so that was something that I learned kind of later on as we were dating, like when we went off to college, and girls would be like openly flirting with him on his MySpace or Facebook. And I'd be like, who is this bitch? She's flirting with you. And he would be like, no, she's not. She's not into me like that. I'm like, hello. So I think you've gotten past that now, but that was definitely a thing.
Yeah, it was years of conditioning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so.
Was there anything else from your side of the story, your perspective from when we met?
No, that was pretty accurate. I think, I would add from my side, when we were sitting together, I thought you were very cute. I thought you just looked very like exotic to me. I was like, I was just trying to peg you.
What
like,
is she?
Yeah, you reminded me of Pocahontas. And I was like, what is she? Yeah, what's her background? And yeah, I added you on MySpace. I remember that. And then I remember there was a comment you left. I think it was, I had added you around spring break. So you had said like, hey, I hope you have a good spring break, but to make it better, we should hang out. And so that was another hint that I took.
Yes, a very forward hint. Shout out to Allison and Nicole, because they were like with me, hyping me up to leave that comment. I was like, is it too much? Is it too forward? And they were like, no, like do it, like make it known. Yeah, so I was on a family trip for spring break, but when I saw that comment you left, I was like, I gotta hang out with her, but when am I going to do it? I guess it's going to be the last day of spring break when we come back from our trip. So
I looked up what movies were playing at the nearby theater, and I think the only thing that kind of worked was, I don't know, like some
It was The Ring
Disney
3.
movie or The Ring 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I'll do a horror movie.
And I'm terrified of scary movies. Like, my friends and family and Omied
I know this
knows now. But, like, when he texted me and was like, let's go see a movie, you want to see Ring 3? I was like, fuck. Like, I'm going to have nightmares for like a week. I saw The Ring 1 with my best girlfriends and literally didn't sleep for a week. So I was like, no, I really don't want to. So I went online on Fandango, again, time-stamping that era, and looked at what the other options were, because I was like, there's got to be something else we can see. And it was literally like a few like kids movies or The Ring 3. I was like, well, I can't really suggest we go see like Blue's Clues the movie or whatever it was. I guess I'm going to have to just sack up and go see The Ring with him.
Yeah, so that night I had actually just bought this leather jacket that I really was very proud of and I thought looked really cool in. So I put my leather jacket on and I drove over to her house to pick her up. And when I rang the doorbell, her whole family was there to open the door. I forget who opened the door, but basically her mom was there, her dad was there, her sister was there, and she was there as well. But there I was with my leather jacket. Apparently I had sunglasses that I hung behind my head, sort of like a cool way of doing it when you're not wearing your sunglasses. But yeah, everybody introduced themselves to me, and
my dad grilled you a little.
Her dad, yeah, he was nice, but at the end he's like, I think he said something like, hope you're a good driver, you're carrying precious cargo.
Oh, you know exactly what he said, because this has become a running joke that also made its way into both my wedding vows and Omied's wedding vows and my sister's maid of honor speech at our wedding.
Well, for sure, I know he said you're carrying precious cargo, and that's the running joke. But before that, I think he said something about, I hope you're a good driver.
Yeah. He asked you if you were a good driver.
And then I said something stupid like, yeah, want to see my driver's license?
Yeah, you did. I was like, let's get out of here.
I was like, I need to go. I was not prepared for this.
We need to go. Yeah, I mean, that was really the only time my dad ever semi-grilled you. I mean, There
was another time, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
And that was, again, it was like not really that bad. But this was like, again, not too far into us dating. I was going to ask Elise out to the homecoming or...
I think prom.
Prom for that year. Yeah, right, because, we started dating in the spring. So it was prom, and I wanted to put the invitation in her room as a surprise, and I called her house really hoping that her mom was going to pick up. I was like, I need to talk to one of her parents.
I could just picture you like, please let Kathy pick up. Please let Kathy pick up.
Please, Kathy. Please, Kathy. Please, Kathy. And then it was like, hello? It's like, okay. Hi, Walter.
For people that don't know my dad, he's like 6'2", big man. He's intimidating.
Mm-hmm. So but he was really nice on the phone. I was like, hey, Walter, it's Omied. I basically asked if I could come over, and I want to surprise Elise with an invitation to prom. And so, I came over. I put I think it was a teddy bear that I had made at one of the Teddy Factory. Remember that thing at the mall? The store?
Build-A-Bear.
I made a bear. It was really cute. I made a bear with a prom suit on.
Really cute.
It was pretty fantastic.
He had a top hat.
Oh, he was super dapper. It was a very dapper bear. And then the bear had a card and flowers or something like that. And so I put it in Elise's room on her chair. And I was all done. I was going to leave, and then Walter is like, "Hey, so you're graduating soon. Like, where are you going? What are your plans after college?
What the fuck are you doing with your life?
What are you doing with your life? Like, you got your shit together? Like, what's going on here?
We suss this out.
Yeah. So, I answered truthfully. I was like, I'm going to architecture school, and I want to become an architect. Like, my dad was an architect, and it's my passion, and I think it went well. He kind of stopped after that. Like, honestly, it didn't really go on for that long, and I think you were just like, okay, I don't have any follow-up questions.
Yeah. I remember in our early days of dating, we would, like, leave each other notes on our cars.
Yes.
And, tuck it into, like, the windshield wiper on the windshield. And my grandma's house was, like, really close to our high school. So, like, my dad would be, like, taking care of stuff for my grandma, and he would drive right by the high school. And he noticed that I was getting these notes on my car. And so he asked me, like, oh, I saw you had a piece of paper on your car. Is somebody leaving you notes? And I was like, yeah, it was a note from Omied. And my dad was like, you know, when a boy leaves you notes on your car, that means he likes you. And like at that point we had been like making out and like I'm like, yeah, Dad,
really?
I know. We like each other. It was just really cute and sweet, and I remember that.
Yeah. I officially asked you out. I forget how long it.
Just a couple weeks into us dating.
Yeah, but so my deal is like I haven't gone out with a lot of different girls, and I'm just like, how do you ask a girl out? And I was just like, I guess you get her flowers, right? So when I realized like, okay, I should ask Elise out. Like we should be official. I get up early in the morning one day before school, and I drive over to the nearby Safeway like an hour before school, pick up flowers. I come home and I get my mom. My mom helps me like, cut the leaves and like, get them all set up and tied up so they look really presentable because I don't know what to do with flowers. And then I take the flowers and, Elise and I just kind of meet up before school sometimes. So I took the flowers and I was going to go park wherever to meet up with Elise, and I put the flowers somewhere where she can't see them, like the side of my chair in my car. And she gets in my car and we're just like hanging out before school. And I don't remember exactly how it went down, but I'm pretty sure at some point I'm just like, hey, so, I wanted to, see if you want to be official, and I wanted to ask you to be my girlfriend. What do you think about that? And I think you kind of looked at me all shy and like batting your eye. I was like,
being coy.
Yeah, I think I'd like that. I think I'd like that.
Is that what I sound like? I think I like that.
So once I got confirmation, I was like, okay, I would like to give you these. And I pulled the flowers out from, behind the seat. I was like, okay, now that I'm not going to feel stupid because she said yes, here are flowers for you.
So sweet. Seriously, one of the sweetest memories. Like, we were just like such kids, such babies. Yeah, okay. I think we've painted a picture of just like how, we started dating when we were so young. We didn't know what we were doing, like who we were. We hadn't been our full selves yet. Yeah, and I think that like, people either, when they start dating in high school and then into college and stuff, it's like they either grow apart, which is probably the more typical thing, or sometimes they grow together. And I feel like that's what happened with us. Like, we grew as individuals, but then we also grew together. And it's like, it's been, next month is going to be 17 years that we've been together. Yeah. I would say, I got your best traits, and I was able to like, make myself a better person that way. And you were able to, grow and get my best traits. And we sort of like, Well, I think we balance each other really well. Like we have a lot in common, but then we have a lot of things that are opposite. Yes. You're still your person. I'm still my person. And we are, I wouldn't say we're opposite, but I would say like, we have some things that are opposite for sure. Yeah. Well, we complement each other. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like very impulsive. If I have an idea, I want to do something, I want to do it yesterday. Mm-hmm. And you're very like, let's weigh all the options and be very logical and think about it. And sometimes it can kind of... it's affected every decision we've ever made in our lives, from like, finding an apartment in San Francisco to buying a house in Napa. Yeah. But we do end up balancing each other because like you kind of like calm me down when I'm like, okay, I want to like this, and this, and like do it right now. And you kind of help me like think things through and like make the best decision. And then sometimes when you need a kick in the butt to just like make a decision and do something, I can kind of like give you that. You help me light push. A fire behind my butt. Up your butt? My butt. My wife said that. I love it. Okay. This is the other thing Elise started to realize about me. I always started dating is I don't understand a lot of American phrases right away. Well, English is technically your second language. English is technically my second language. So I grew up in a household where my parents, English was their second language. So certain phrases I will definitely mess up sometimes. Yeah. So for listeners that don't know us personally, Omied is Persian, and Farsi was his first language, but he obviously speaks English, fluently because he also learned that when he was little.
I mean, I'm American, but yeah, my background is Persian. So yeah, I was born here, but again, totally spoke Farsi for the first several years of my life before speaking any English.
Yeah. Okay, so another question. When did you guys say I love you to each other? Who said it first? When did you know?
Did you say it first?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I remember. Okay, so, and I didn't straight up say like, I love you. I think I kind of like, like on The Bachelor where they're like, I'm falling in love with you. Like they don't just like
I'm starting the process of thinking that I could potentially fall in love with you someday.
Yeah. But it was in high school and I think we'd been dating for, I don't know, months. I mean, here's the thing. I remember like 2 weeks into us dating, I have a really vivid memory of thinking, I know I'm only 16 and I might not know what love is, but like, I think I am going to fall in love with this guy. I might even marry him. And I know I'm really young, like maybe that won't happen, but he is going to be someone really special and important in my life. Like I just have a very vivid memory of thinking this.
Was it when I was in high school too, or was it when I...
Yeah, you were still in high school. It was literally 2 weeks after we'd been dating.
Yeah. But when you said you love me.
Oh, you want me to get back on track with the question?
I'm just in my head, I'm trying to remember when this happened.
It was after, actually, I don't know if it was, no, yeah, I think it was like maybe a few months after we'd been dating, maybe like 6 months. And I had been away for like a week for basketball camp in Pepperdine, and you picked me up. We drove, like the whole basketball team drove back up and got in pretty late, like around 10 or 11, and you picked me up, and we were just like sitting in your car, and I just like, I missed you so much. Like it was just a week, and I was super busy because we were at basketball camp, but I just like really, really missed you and kind of realized like, I think I'm falling in love with him and I want to tell him. And so I said, I think I literally said, I think I'm falling in love with you.
I think I remember this. Yeah, it was probably summertime.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, before I left for college.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably said I love you not too far after that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the first time you said it, though. Do you?
I mean, I'm sorry, but I really don't. Like, I feel like it's something I should remember, but we've just been together for so long.
I know.
I just don't remember the time.
I'm sure it was very sweet, and I was very happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I am all about time-saving hacks, and I have to tell you guys about my latest discovery, Sunbasket Meal Delivery Service. I've been using them for months now, and they are hands down the best meal delivery I have ever tried, and I have tried a lot. Their meals are ready to go. You can just microwave them or pop them in the oven. I don't know about you, but if I'm paying for a meal delivery, I'm not trying to get a kit that also requires me to spend time having to cook the meal and chop stuff like some other services. No, thank you. So it's delivered weekly. If you want, you can always skip. It's ready to go. All of their ingredients are organic. And seriously, the meals have been so delicious. I just had this insane chile verde enchilada pie with braised pork last night. Oh my God, I'm drooling just thinking about it. And each week you get to pick your menu, and I order 6. So that's meals for both me and Omied 3 nights out of the week. And I usually opt for meals that are under 600 calories. And like I said, everything has been so good. And there's a new menu to choose from every week. We haven't had a repeat menu item yet. And I have a great discount link for you to give them a try. You'll get $90 off your first few deliveries, bringing each meal to $6 a meal. This is a no-brainer, you guys. So just go to whatthefab.com/sunbasket and use my referral link there. I mean, you're going to pay that much at least for groceries, but with Sunbasket, you don't even have to cook, so you might as well be efficient about it. Make weeknight dinners a delicious breeze with Sunbasket. Go to whatthefab.com/sunbasket to get $90 off. Okay, next question. You kind of touched on this, but what does Omied do for a living?
So I am an architect, and I work so I'm a principal at a corporate interior architecture firm. We do a lot of interior renovations in San Francisco and the Bay Area, and we have some clients that we do national and international work for as well. But yeah, that was what I went to school for. Again, my dad was an architect as well, so that was what kind of introduced me to that. And I've always had this passion for both science and arts. I mean, my mom was very artistic. My dad, obviously artistic, but also being an architect sort of drew me to that aspect of wanting to, utilize both art and also science in my profession. So, kind of had a very stereotypical upbringing as far as, loved playing with Lincoln Logs and Legos as a child. So that all transformed to me going to Cal Poly Pomona for my master's degree, or not master's, but Bachelor of Architecture. And then, I worked for a firm in Sacramento for a while. Elise was going to get her master's during that time, and then once she graduated, she got a job in San Francisco, and that's what led us to San Francisco, and that's what led me to my current firm, where I'm a partner at.
Yeah, and for people who aren't as familiar with like the lingo, because I think it's kind of specific to your industry, but principal means owner or co-owner. Like a partner at a law firm. But so Omied is a co-owner at his firm, and he has other partners. And so we're both running businesses, and we're both entrepreneurs, and it kind of just ended up that way.
Yeah. Yep. Lots of stuff to talk about every night during dinner.
Yeah. And I remember like meeting you because it was towards the end of your senior year and I was a junior. And I was like so impressed that you had such clarity and vision for what you wanted to do. Cause I went to UCLA undeclared. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I know I don't like math or science, and I can write and I like that, but like, I don't know what I'm going to end up doing. So I just remember thinking like, it was really impressive that you had such like clarity and vision around what you wanted to do.
Well, I remember being super impressed with just like your drive and your persistence. I mean,
at that age?
Always. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, always. I mean, I think, it's become more and more, obvious, but I could see it sort of like cultivating itself while you were in college. I mean, again, like you've kind of said to yourself, like you didn't really know what you wanted to do, but you just kind of like thrived. I mean, you thrived and you graduated from UCLA in 3 years instead of the traditional 4 years, and went and got your master's at Davis, and just like, again, like, I mean, who does that? I mean, who graduates at UCLA in less than 4 years and leaves me in LA by myself for an extra year? And by the way, I had a 5-year program, so that, that made me feel really weird because, I just felt like I was in college for a long time compared to Elise.
Well, yeah, I remember you always used to clarify, like, it's a 5-year program. I'm not a super senior.
Right, because it's not traditional, right? Like, 5 years is not traditional, but in architecture it is for a Bachelor of Architecture. But I just have to, like, clarify. I'm like, this is the program. I haven't been here an extra year. Sorry, I have to clarify.
Okay, I like this next question. How do you two maintain individuality after marriage and being in such a long-term relationship? I mean, I don't think it's like necessarily intentional. Like, we both obviously are really passionate about our careers, and my job also involves me traveling a lot, and you've always been really supportive of that. And obviously we have a lot of like couple friends and then like friends from high school, but then we also have our own, you know, groups and friends and stuff.
Yeah, I think we've gotten pretty good. Again, I think this is maybe just a result of being together for 16 years.
17.
17. I was like, should I say 17? I'm trying to do math in my head. 16, 17 years. But I think we've gotten good at just being able to schedule our lives so that we're doing things together when we can, and when we let's say you're traveling, or I'm busy with work or something, we sort of just like schedule our lives to do aspects to take care of those aspects that maybe we don't want to do together. Like we don't do it together. So like, just for example, like one example would be like Elise leaving for a week for a business trip, and I'll go visit a brewery, or I'll talk with some college buddies that maybe I haven't seen in a while, or watch a scary movie that I wanted to see that I know
that
is going to not care to see it and get mad at me, like literally be mad at me all day the next day for making her watch it because she had nightmares the night before. So those kinds of things, you just learn it over time. It's lessons learned, and you just know not to make those mistakes again. So I think those kinds of things, you just start to schedule it naturally between both of us.
Yeah. I like this question too, and I'm sure a lot of people are curious. Since we have been together for so long, coming up on 17 years, which is the age of a junior in high school, right?
I mean, that was basically how old you were when we started dating. Yeah.
Okay, the question is, how do you keep the relationship spicy?
Oh, this question.
Oh, come on. I don't know. Omied is more private than me, you guys. I'm like, I'll tell you.
I mean, just to be frank, like, I don't know, like, I guess I'm so grateful that I just find you attractive, just as attractive today as I did like when we first met in high school. Like, I think that keeps it spicy. I just feel attracted to you, like physically, even more intellectually than I did in high school. Yeah.
That's really sweet. I mean, you're hot, and I'm obviously wildly attracted to you too.
I'm going to say, and I'm obviously wildly attractive.
You're hot, and I'm obviously wildly attractive, so it just works.
Okay. So confident. That's great.
I love your confidence. No. No, I'm obviously wildly attracted to you, and then I'm going to give the people what they want. Like, here's also, like, the fact of the matter is...
I know what you like. Sorry, I'm sorry. I know what you like.
What?
When I cook for you. Like, when I make you, like, a nice pizza off the pizza oven.
Yeah, that turns me on.
I smoke you a nice rack of ribs. I know that does it.
I love how you're saying it all sensually, like when I smoke you.
When I slather the barbecue sauce.
It's true, though. I love that you're such a good cook, and I love that you love to spoil me. Like, I mean, we'll get into, like, love languages and stuff, and acts of service, I think, is one of mine. It's not my top one, but, like, when you do those things for me, I'm, like, I feel so taken care of, and, like, you're just, like, so hot out there, like, grilling or, like, making a pizza or whatever.
You a hot tub.
Building me a hot tub, yeah. Like, building stuff for the house. But what I was going to say, people want to hear the juicy stuff, so I was going to say, the fact is, like, I think some people can think, like, oh my God, 17 years, like, doesn't that get stale or boring? But, like, the fact is, when you're with someone for that long, you know exactly what the other person likes and what they don't like. Like, there's no, like, oh, how is this for you? It's like, yep, I know exactly which buttons to press. I know exactly what you're going to like. And that I enjoy that. And then, I mean, lingerie is fun. That keeps it spicy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's an element of just unpredictability. Like, you don't always want to be doing just the same old routine. I mean, sometimes, yeah, the element of surprise definitely goes a long way.
Pulling you into a dressing room.
Sure.
He's like, my mom listens to this podcast at least. Okay.
Sure.
Big spoon.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to awkwardly segue to the next question because you seem really uncomfortable.
No, it's fine.
Am I going to have to edit this out?
I mean, it's fine. After you brought my mom into it, I figured we were done. So.
Go ahead.
What?
Oh, I thought you were interrupting me.
I don't even remember what I was going to say anymore.
Big spoon or little spoon?
If I had to choose one for the rest of my life, I would probably choose Big Spoon.
One for the rest of your life? Oh, you don't have to.
Well,
we can trade.
I absolutely like being Little Spoon sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes Omied will be like, you be the Big Spoon.
I just think it's adorable to feel you, like, wrap your tiny arms, like, around my body. It's like just really adorable, experience.
I like being the little spoon, but I like being the big spoon sometimes too. How do you avoid being insecure or getting lonely when you're apart from each other?
I mean, well, you should answer. Maybe you go first.
Well, I do think, and we've talked about this a lot, but like, I think that during the pandemic, I mean, we're coming up on 2 years that we've been doing this now, and it's definitely made us feel more like attached. Like before, we would go to the office during the week, obviously, and then come home in the evening, and sometimes we'd be like at events or, meeting up with friends or whatever. So like we didn't necessarily have that many hours together during the week. And then, of course we would plan something together for the weekend, but now like back then, like if I was traveling for like a week or two at a time, like it felt like nothing. Like not that I didn't miss you, but it's just like, okay, I'm doing my thing and like I'll miss you and I'll see you in 2 weeks. And now now that things are starting to open back up and I'm traveling more, I'm gone for a week and I'm like, oh my God, I miss you so much. Like it's really hard. And so I think we're just like adjusting to this, new normal, or like now you're going back to the office a couple of days a week and you're not working from home. And especially now that we're in our new house and not in the city, like it's really quiet during the day. And I'm like, man, I miss you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the pandemic definitely shifted the situation where we just got so used to just hanging out with each other. And again, how lucky are we that like we didn't get sick of each other? Like we just ended up making us more attached, if anything. But yeah.
You've always been really supportive of me, like traveling, being gone, like taking opportunities, and it's just like you've always just been so supportive. And I kind of realized just from hearing from other girlfriends and like their experiences that that's not always the case. Like some partners get upset when their partner leaves for a week or 2 weeks at a time. Or when I was at Google, I had this opportunity to go work at our London office for a month and a half. Like that's a long time to be away from each other. But I mean, what a cool opportunity to have Google pay my way to like basically be Eloise for a month and a half and live in a hotel, in Piccadilly Circle. And I had this opportunity. I asked you about it. Like, what do you think? And you were like, absolutely, you should do that. And like, I'll come meet you at the end of that month and a half and we'll travel around together. And like, how exciting. Like there was no question. And I remember because this was like a program that Google did and you can like apply for, and a few people every quarter would get to do this in different offices around the world. And I remember I had a girlfriend at work that got the same opportunity. I don't remember which office it was, but to go abroad for a month and a half. And she told her husband about it, and she was like, what do you think? And he was like, yeah, I'd really rather you didn't. It's a long time to be gone. And she was like, oh, no. This was like a courtesy conversation. Like, this is something I want to do, and I'm doing it.
This is more of a notification.
Yes, and I phrased it this way so you could, like, take this opportunity
you
to...
answered wrong.
Exactly. You did not pass the test. And I was just like, oh, damn, like... Not everyone's partners are as like supportive of that type of situation.
Yeah, I mean that's always been kind of like icky to me, the idea of like saying that maybe you shouldn't do something. I've never, as close as we are together, I've always in my mind wanted to be the kind of person that doesn't get in the way of your, highest aspirations. So I'm lucky that like your highest aspirations, have jived with mine. I mean, they just have, and I think again, that has to do with the kind of people we are. I mean, when you leave for a couple weeks, yeah, it's not fun to not have you around. I'd rather have you around, but at the same time, I just kind of take advantage of it. Again, like I said, like I just do things that I normally wouldn't do. Like I'll just go out for a photo safari for, half a day and go take photos. Because you wouldn't be coming with me on those things anyway, or I'll, go visit a brewery again. Like I'll just, watch movies that I've wanted to see. And, I consider myself an introvert in some respects. So I just kind of like bring out my inner introvert and just enjoy being by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that gives me an opportunity to sort of like get in touch with that. And then when you come back, it's like, great, we can hang out again.
Mm-hmm. You guys, I just discovered Nuuly and had to tell you about it. It's a fashion rental subscription service. So it's basically like Netflix for clothes. I also have a $10 off discount for you, so I'll let you know how to get that in just a sec. So here's how it works. You pick out 6 pieces of clothing that get shipped right to your home. You wear them for as long as you want, and then when you're done, you send them back in the same packaging it arrived in. There's a return label in there and everything. Super easy, and they have such cute pieces from brands like Anthropologie, Ralph Lauren, Badgley Mischka, Free People, just to name a few. And if you fall in love with a piece and you decide you want to keep it, you can buy it at a super discounted rate. Like I'm seeing anywhere from 15 to 70% off the retail price for the pieces that I have at home right now. You also don't have to worry about washing anything, or even if you accidentally damage it, you spill some coffee or pop a sequin or 2 off, Nuuly will take care of it and you won't be charged. Personally, I am feeling a little bit uninspired with my closet and my clothes right now after the pandemic. So Nuuly has just been a great, affordable, sustainable option for me to have a bunch of new outfits every month and just get excited about dressing up again. You can pause or cancel Nuuly at any time, and I also have a referral link for you to get $10 off your first month. Just go to whatthefab.com/Nuuly, and Nuuly is spelled N as in Nancy, UULY. Enjoy, and let's get back to the episode. You touched on something else that I wanted to talk about, and that kind of leads into this next question, but you've always been also so supportive of my business and my blog, and when I first started it, my side hustle, and I had this idea, 10 years ago. I don't even remember. Oh, no, I remember why. Because I had been working my, my first big girl job and just kind of learning how to blog and manage the company's editorial calendar and press releases and email newsletters. And I was like, I want to start my own blog. I don't know what that means or what that looks like, but I kind of want to try that. And I asked you, and we were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. We were living together, but we weren't engaged or anything. And I asked you, what if we went in halvesies on a DSLR camera and you took my pictures for this blog that I want to start? And you were just sure. Yeah. You didn't know anything about photography, but you got so into it. I mean, you have an artistic eye and, edge, but you went to YouTube University and learned how to handle a DSLR. Now your photography is insane, incredible. You could literally publish a coffee table book with some of the travel photos that you've taken. And you just were let's do it. And then now, 10 years later, you're still down to, we just did a shoot today on a Sunday. You're still down to take my photos. I have tried to, get better with the tripod so that I can shoot during the week, because Omied is so giving and supportive that he would shoot every weekend with me if I needed him to, but I really wanted to try to have some boundaries and do my shoots and my work things during the week so that we have weekends off. But today I had to do a reshoot for something, and I literally never have to reshoot, so it was very annoying. And I was I just need your help, and I just want to knock this out. But that's something, again, that a lot of my blogger friends, their partners get really upset when my friends ask for help taking photos. I've seen some wild stuff. My friend had a partnership that involved her getting to take her husband to a Warriors game. And all she had to do was snap a photo of herself at the game and post it on Instagram. And when she asked her boyfriend or her husband to help her take this photo, he got all irritated. And it's dude, you're here because of her business and her platform, and just take the photo. I see stuff like that really, really often, and you've just always been so supportive. And yeah, I feel really lucky.
Yeah, you should. thought you were going to laugh at that. That was a joke.
I was like, okay, say more words.
Well, that didn't land, but that's okay. No, I mean, yeah, I feel lucky that, you know, we share interests and are able to do those kinds of things together. I mean, I do love photography, and the fact that, you know, it helps you, and it again, like when you started your business, to me, I just wanted to lift you up. Like that's what it came down to. I wanted to lift you up and see you succeed, and at the same time, like, this byproduct of that was like, I have a cool hobby, like, because I did like photography even before. Like, I was interested in photography. I just never really like did it seriously. So I think a lot of things in the universe just kind of come together sometimes where it works out for everyone.
That's really sweet.
Does that make up for my bad joke?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, good.
So it leads me to this question that I think is a really good one. How do you two deal with finances? Do you split everything 50-50? Do you ever argue about money?
I don't think we really argue too much. I mean, we have a joint account, and we put most of our assets into that, so that, because most of the stuff we spend spend together. So
yeah,
you know, and I think we both have our individual checking accounts for little things, but at this point in our lives, we sort of share everything. So
yeah. I mean, I think, like, we really see ourselves as a unit, and a team, and the way our accounts are set up reflect that. So obviously I have, like, my business account, and then I still have my personal checking account, but there's like $5,000 in there. Like, I really just kind of maintain that for like when we're abroad and I need a debit card, or
it's more just having, like, a variety of options in case one option doesn't work.
Yeah, and then we have, like, our main account, which is like a high yield savings account that we pay all of our credit card bills through, and we both, like, funnel money into that. So, like, from, you know, when Omied gets his paycheck into his personal account, it gets transferred over into the joint one. When I'm paying myself from the What the Fab account, it gets funneled into the joint one. We don't have, like, individual credit cards or anything. I mean, I think that, like, the money and the finance conversation is important because, like, I've just seen a lot of, like, pretty wild stuff from my girlfriends or friends of friends. Like, it can be a really touchy subject between couples. And, like, I remember a friend of mine at Google, like, she had her own kind of separate account that her salary would go into, and then she would, like, make these purchases before kind of transferring things over. And she's like, yeah, that way he won't know. Like, it was like very secretive. And I've also, someone was just telling me about, they accidentally noticed on their boss's Venmo, she was Venmoing her boss something, and she noticed that her boss and her boss's husband Venmo each other things like groceries, rent, you know, like it was just like, whoa, like, that's really wild. And it's like, you know, it's whatever works.
Whatever works for you, yeah. I mean, for us, it's just like, I don't want to manage that. And
no, it's just, yeah. And we completely trust each other to, like, make decisions. Like, if you're gonna, you know, buy something for yourself that's expensive, we'll talk about it first before you just, like, make a big purchase. And same with me.
Yeah.
We budget things for, like, house projects together.
I was gonna say, it's like a company. Like, any expense over $100 has to be authorized by both parties or something like that. Yeah. Like, we have a discussion about it.
Yeah, exactly. I do, if you're comfortable, I do want to talk about, in relation to finances, the fact that throughout our entire relationship, I've always made more money than you. And you have never been weird about that, like, ever. Mm-hmm. And again, I have a lot of friends, other, like, female entrepreneur friends, that it's a really big issue in their relationship that they make more money than their husband. It causes fights, resentment, the husband's ego is bruised. Why has that never been an issue for you?
Yeah, I think I grew up in a family that also, both of my parents worked, and I grew up in a household where that was like just kind of like understood that like, yeah, both parents work, and it was never a thing where it was like my dad made a bunch more than my mom or my mom made a bunch more than my dad. Like they did what they could to support us, and it was enough. And so I always grew up with that mentality that like, it doesn't have to be like competitive between a husband and a wife. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be that way. Why should it be that way? That wasn't even like a thought. And like as I grew up and entered society and learned through media and talking with people that there's this stigma with like the man usually makes more money. Well, it's kind of like, okay, it's like societal bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the case. Well, why was that the case? Because women weren't allowed to work. I mean, at some point, like, women were allowed to work, but for a long time they weren't. I mean, so at some point those traditions have to be broken and reinvented. And, so to me, it's not about it has to be a certain way, because things are always changing. And if you're making more money than me, then good for you. I mean, I don't see it as like I'm being valued lesser. I'm just happy for you that you're doing what you're doing. And yeah, I guess, it comes down to how do you value your own self-worth? Are you valuing it based on the amount of dollars you make per year? Because there are a lot of people out there who make less money than both of us who do very noble and superior things, right? I mean, so how do you value those people? So you can't just base it off of like this one particular metric. It's not that simple, and it shouldn't be. It's kind of like an archaic way to think about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it says a lot about you and just your own confidence in yourself and your values, and also like just being able to check your ego.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I said, a lot of my female friends that are successful entrepreneurs, it's a big issue in their relationships. I've heard it listening to just other female entrepreneurs that I admire, listening to their podcasts. Like, they've talked about how it's really tough and causes a lot of arguments. And I kind of, especially over the last kind of couple of years, started realizing that and was like, whoa, I feel really lucky that I think it should be this way, but I just kind of started to realize that wasn't the norm. And I was like, I feel lucky that my partner, you've never made me feel bad about that. And you've always made me feel like so supported. And like my wins feel like your wins and your wins feel like my wins.
It's true. It's true. Like, we're a team in it together. And so, yeah, I'm like, this is great for us. Really, At the end of the day, it's great for us. So like, awesome. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And again, like I just don't. It's not like how much money do you make is like the only measure of a person's self-worth. I mean, if that's the case, then there's a lot of people out there that don't have any worth, and that's just not true. Mm-hmm. It's just not true. It's totally arbitrary. So, I don't really know how else to put it. It's just a way that I've looked at it.
Yeah.
Since I was younger.
This question I knew would be a popular one. Do you two think you'll have kids anytime soon?
I feel like this is where, like, when celebrities are on a show and there's like a, is there going to be a sequel to that movie you just made?
You'll have to stay tuned and find out.
Stay tuned. Like, I don't know. I can't neither confirm nor deny that. I mean, I won't say that we don't want kids.
Well, yeah.
And I won't say that it's happening next week.
No, it's not like... anytime soon, as in like you're going to be seeing a pregnancy announcement probably even this year. And I actually just did a podcast episode with two of my blogger girlfriends that is literally just all about this topic. And we really got into like our fears and kind of like what is holding us back or what is causing us to try to conceive. Like we just get all into it. It's episode number 37 if you want to listen to it. But I talk about kind of where we're at in that episode. And basically the short answer is we know that we want to have a family. I'm not quite ready yet. I think you're more ready than I am. And I am getting there, but I'm not there yet.
That's a fair assessment.
That's fair. Okay, next question.
I mean, what else can I add? I think, we've both had several conversations about this over several years. This isn't something that we've just started talking about, but I think it's gradually, we've proportionally given it the amount of sort of like thought and significance in our lives as we've grown older.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, it's probably going to happen sometime, closer than it, we were thinking it would be several years ago. And I think it's just part of our lifestyle. Like everyone's different, and we're just getting to that, we just want to be able to like travel and do these kinds of things that we want to do. So that when we do have a kid, it's like, now it's just all about like taking care of this kid and focusing on their life and moving it forward before we, think about our next plans.
Yeah, but I still want to travel.
For sure. I mean, I do too. Yeah.
I know it'll obviously be very different and less frequent, but I still like that is a really important goal of mine. Like my business, gotta take care of my business and gotta be able to still travel. Obviously not in the same way or as much, but I need a change of scenery.
No, I mean, one thing we know about you is you figure out a way to do what you want. So,
thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite thing about each other? I know mine for you. Well, there's a lot, but okay, a couple favorite things. Omied is like the sweetest soul, like just kindest, gentlest, sweetest soul, but also like you're so fucking funny and witty and like you have this edge to you and you don't like present yourself this way to everyone, but like when it's just you and me, like some of the things that you say are just like you can be a little bit of a dick sometimes with your with your jokes. And I mean, we just have the same
dry.
Sometimes, yeah, we just have the same like sense of humor and like I love your sweet, kind soul, but then I also love that you have this like sense of humor that has this edge to it as well.
Well, I mean, okay, so I'm going to give you an answer that's along those lines, but then I want to give you a different answer that's kind of different. But along those lines, my favorite thing about you is just how powerful you are. I mean, I honestly am in awe and I'm inspired by just the power you exude, the confidence you have, and it's something that I've worked to like try to live up to. You're getting teary-eyed.
Yeah, you're going to make me cry. I just got chills. I wasn't expecting that.
But I've told you this. I mean, it's, from ever since we were younger, like, especially since we started working, just, instilling the confidence in me to do what I can do. I get that from you, I think. I really do. I think I see what you do and I see the persistence you have and kind of, take no bullshit attitude. But at the same time, like, you're such a sweetheart and you're so warm and loving and kind, but you don't let yourself get taken advantage of. And I think that's something that I've had to work on, just being like kind of a nicer person and a little bit more like reserved. I have to be careful about that kind of stuff. I think living with you has helped me become a more impatient person in a good way. Like, it's okay to be a little impatient, but I've learned that from you. So that's what I wanted to say. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, I love how soft you are. So for those who don't know, like, Elise has this, nightly regimen for like, she has, I call her my apothecary because she has this whole like setup for, creams and stuff that she puts on at night. And she's started to give me stuff so I can take care of my skin, which is great. But she's done it for years, decades, and it has just resulted in the softest skin. Like just holding her, and I don't want to get creepy, but it's like, it's just so soft. And it's just like coming from, I don't know, my skin feels like leather. Her skin feels like if you ever had mochi, mochi ice cream, it feels like this, just caressing the top of a mochi ice cream ball.
Well, I do. I exfoliate, I put on lotion every night, but I think part of it is just like genetics, like my soft Asian skin. Like my mom has really soft skin. Like we call her as like a cute little nickname. We're like, you're softer than mochi.
Like a marshmallow. It's so soft. It's ridiculous. And I'm just like I feel lucky that I can, just be the big spoon to that. Or the little spoon.
You're just so cute. Okay, that was really sweet. Thank you. This is a good question too. When both of your schedules get busy, how do you find time for the little things or quality time?
It's a good question. Sometimes all it takes is Elise to give me like the eye. I think there was a night where I was pretty busy, and
Omied's been working late.
We had talked about working out together that evening, and I got a little like in the zone with work, and I totally forgot, and I hadn't like put it in my calendar, and she looks at me and I have my AirPods on, and I'm like, I just like shoulder shrug to her. I'm like, I have to do stuff, and then she gives me the eyeball. I'm like, oh shit, like I'm in trouble. But I figured it out, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. So I made it work, and we did our workout together, and it was great. So I think, part of it is just like, you just have to be disciplined. Like you just do it, and you figure out how to like make up the time elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I don't lie, there's weeks where we do sort of just like work and it becomes a blur and we don't really talk to each other like in any long period of time for several days. And
yeah, because our brains are fried at the end of the day and you just want to like watch Netflix and go to bed.
Eat, watch Netflix and go to bed. And, but
especially with both of us being entrepreneurs, like we try to, have boundaries with our working hours, but sometimes like we're just kind of getting out of this pandemic, and Omied's an architect. Like now that they're busy, like they're taking on clients and he's working his ass off right now. And it's been hard and frustrating when he has to work late nights and weekends, but also because I'm an entrepreneur too, I understand like this comes in waves, and we both know that this is not sustainable, and it's starting to noticeably calm down. I've noticed over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, and you get it because it happens to you all the time too. There's nights and weekends that you have to work, and
I've been a lot better about it though, I would say.
Well, if we're talking about like in the last 2 months, yes.
No, I mean like the last few years.
Yeah, I would say so. But that still doesn't. There are things that work stresses that stress you out about work.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's sort of like we balance each other out. I feel like we try to do a good job where it's like I'm there to support you and you're there to support me.
Yeah.
So that we're both not like, we're both burnt out.
Right.
At the same time. And it's like, somebody help us. What was the question again?
It was when both of your schedules get so busy, how do you find time for quality time?
Yeah.
I think another thing that I would say, like you kind of mentioned this, like you just do it, but like being intentional about it, because especially when you're both working hard, if you have kids, that I'm sure it makes it even harder to find quality time together. But my love language, the way that I like to receive and feel the most loved, is through quality time. And I've told Omied this before, like if we don't have quality time together, like if we're so busy that a week goes by and we don't have quality time, I feel like my love tank is low. Like I can feel it. I'm like, I'm low on my love tank, and we need to spend some quality time together. And it doesn't even have to be anything like crazy. Like we do make sure that we are like, okay, like this weekend we're going to go wine tasting together. Like this weekend we're doing this. We try to connect each evening after work as well. But like last night, for example, just, It was a Saturday night. We were getting ready to have dinner and we made a charcuterie board and I poured us a glass of wine and you were like, okay, do you want to watch a Netflix show? And I was like, no, I actually just want to talk to you. And we had like a really good conversation last night. We talked about a lot of like life stuff. Like we talked about things with my business that were stressing me out. We talked about like other, like family relationships and things. And I felt so good after that conversation and just like shooting the shit with you, really.
Yeah, I think that happens pretty often where I think it honestly, all it comes down to is like us having a conversation to reconnect after a tough week.
Yeah.
Where we haven't really we've connected on like a superficial level, but not like on a deep level.
Yeah.
And that, if that happens like a couple times a week, great, Yeah. And I think I noticed that about you too. It's like, I see myself as more of the introvert and like I'll automatically go to, because I don't think the deep conversations is my love language.
Yeah, what's your love language again?
What are the options?
I should know that. You keep talking, I'll look it up.
Yeah, so while she thinks about that, I'm always automatically resorting to, I'm tired, let's eat our food and let's just watch like our show and, go to bed. Like I don't want to think anymore. But as soon as she says she wants to visit or, have a conversation, I'm like, of course I'm going to do that. Like that's important to her. So, and then I'm glad I did. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like it ends up being a really good experience. Yeah. So what are the love languages?
So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. I know I've made you do the quiz before, but it was years ago, and I forget which one was yours.
Yours is words of affirmation?
No.
Or quality time?
Quality time is my number 1.
Your quality time. I wonder if it's acts of service.
It could be. Physical touch, I think, was like my 3rd one.
Yeah, I want to say out of all those, receiving gifts... No, I know. Yeah, I would say acts of service, probably.
Yeah, I think it was maybe acts of service and quality time maybe were kind of like tied for you, if I'm remembering right. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I would say in terms of like making time for each other when your schedules are really busy, I think that having our house manager has freed up some time for us to decompress and spend time with each other in the evenings during the week.
Yes. And this is a very like privileged thing to be able to do, but having someone that on a Monday comes and helps just kind of set the week on a good pace in terms of like the laundry and cleaning the house and cooking. I love cooking. I cook and she cooks, but we do it on the weekends when we have more time. But like during the week, it's just like really hard to find time to cook, clean, laundry, all that stuff, and also like run your business. And having the house manager to at least like kick things off at the beginning of the week really helps us. It just sets up the week for like success. Yeah. And yeah, I'm super thankful that like we're able to do that. Totally understand like it's not something that everybody can do, but if that's something that you can work into your budget and you have, you're both working, it really does make a huge difference to how like Monday night feels. Yeah. When you're done with your work and you're working out and the house is just kind of clean and laundry's done and there's like a meal ready, it totally changes the way you wake up the next morning to start Tuesday.
Yeah, and then you have time. You're not running around doing the cooking and cleaning and laundry. You're just sitting down for a nice meal together and connecting after a long work day.
Yeah, and that's the time we get to be able to reconnect with each other and help solve each other's problems. And again, we're just like energized to like do the actual cooking we love to do when we have time over the weekend.
Yeah, but I think it's like important to bring that up and share that because, I mean, frankly, I wish somebody had given me that idea a few years ago. Like, we probably could have benefited from that earlier. It just wasn't something that, like, my mind was really open to before. And, yeah, I mean, I think your time is so valuable, and it's like, if I can afford it, I don't mind spending money on getting some hours of my day back.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this, but everybody's different. But like the way Elise and I look at our time is like, it is. I mean, imagine like your time as an hourly rate that you could be using doing something else, and so you have to decide like how do you value your time? Like, is that hour better spent like doing the laundry, or is it better spent like having a conversation with your significant other to solve a problem? or work out or whatever it is you
Or
need to do to like survive the week.
Yeah, even just enjoy each other's company. Like,
yeah. So, you know, maybe look at your time as not just time, but like money. And how would you look at it differently if you looked at it that way?
Yeah.
So that, you know, that's something that's actually worked relatively well for us.
Yeah, I think sometimes like even for like grocery orders, like sometimes we have friends that are like, oh no, like I don't want to pay to have my grocery delivered. I'd rather just do it myself. And it's like, well, what do you value your time at? Like you've got an Amazon Prime account. So to get a Whole Foods delivery, now they charge $10. They charge $9.99 for it. It used to be included in your Prime membership. And we have friends that are like, I would never pay $10 to have my groceries delivered. And it's like, well, do you value your time at less than minimum wage? Like, because it's going to take you an hour to drive to the store, pick up all the groceries, and drive home. You could just pay $10 and have that hour of your life back and spend that, you know, having a glass of wine with your husband. Like, I get it. Like, it can kind of feel like, well, it's $10 every time and that adds up. But, like, if it fits within your budget, what do you value your time at? Time is the only thing that we can't get back. And so that's why I don't mind spending money on it when I can afford to.
Yeah, well said.
Thanks. Okay. We have a couple more questions. We're coming up. Yeah, we're like just past an hour, so we'll start to wrap things up.
That went so fast.
I know. You did so good.
Thanks.
Okay, this one's a funny one, and I feel like we've said some mushy things, so people will probably like to hear the other side of it. What are your pet peeves about each other?
Gotta be careful.
You can be honest.
Pet peeves. I mean, the one that comes to mind is, you know, you're gonna get mad. Like when you get riled up and like it usually ends up happening like right before we're going to bed, and I'm just like, can we take it down a notch? Like if there's something that's bothering you about work or someone who did something stupid, like totally valid, they did something stupid, I get it. But like you just get riled up and like your voice gets higher, and I'm like, can we just take it down a notch? And I can't tell you to like, I'm trying to figure out a nice way to say calm down without knowing I can't say the words calm down. Mm-mm. And so that's something that I'm like, I need to figure out like how this is gonna work. And so what did I say last night, I think?
I think you were just like, hey, let's take it down a notch.
Can we take it down a notch? And then she still figured it out. She's like, don't ask me to take it down a notch.
I mean, that's just who I am. I get it from my dad. Like, I can get really riled up about stuff, and like I just have to like talk about it and like get it out, and this is what I'm thinking and what I'm gonna do and how I'm feeling, and yeah, I can get a little passionate.
A couple octaves high, yeah.
I mean, that's fair. I'm not upset about that. I'm upset if you tell me to calm down. Okay, my turn. My pet peeve about you is when you turn into the hangman.
I knew it.
Okay, so for listeners, the hangman is this like concept and term that we use for Omied when he's having a hard time like making a decision about something, and he's just kind of like going back and forth and like, I don't know. And the way that this term came about was we were at this, it was like a press media event in the city, and they had a tarot card reader there. So I was like, let's sit down with the tarot card reader. And she started, flipping cards and telling us things. And I mean, the stuff that she was saying was very spot on. Like I hadn't told her anything about, obviously our lives. And she was like, okay, like for me, she was like, you are like very fiery and passionate and driven. You're super hardworking. You have a big change coming up where you're going to be like, basically like she was talking about me leaving Google and running my business. And then with Omied, she also said a lot of things that were very spot on. And one of the cards was the hangman. And the hangman is called that because he basically like...
He's just hanging around.
He's just hanging around. He ends up just like... In the picture,
the picture was depicted as a guy with his feet tied, and he was upside down,
right,
and he was kind of shrugging his shoulders like, I'm just hanging here.
I'm just hanging here because I can't make a decision either way. because I'm just like weighing the pros and cons and thinking about the logistics.
Like super analytical, super like trying to make the right
very
choice.
In my head. And so, yeah, sometimes, like we were talking about earlier, it can be a good balance because Omied and I balance each other in that he can help me think through things and kind of like not make such rash decisions. And then when he's being the hangman, I can kind of like give him a kick in the butt and be like, okay, like make this decision, do this thing, like call it, like let's do this. But yes, that can be definitely one of the things that I would say would be a pet peeve. Even though, and I think both of the things that we just said, they're also strengths about each other in some ways. Like,
you yelling at night is a strength?
Well, me being passionate and fiery is a strength. Like, my passion and fire is what has like driven my business.
It's true. You have lots of fire. And
your hangman, like, obviously these are the two like extremes of it. Like, when used in the right way, your kind of like methodical, analytical brain and weighing the pros and cons, like that's also served us well in some ways.
Absolutely. I think you're right. I mean, you know, like anything, it's not as simple as black and white, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree.
Yeah. Okay, last question, just a fun one to wrap it up. What's your favorite place that you've traveled to together?
Well, I think we've talked about this a couple times, and oh god, this is tough.
I know.
This is tough. I mean, it comes down to like a few places in my mind. Our honeymoon is always going to hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
I feel like Paris is always going to be a special place in my heart, but also, Elise knows I have a real romantic idea of Barcelona. And when we were there, it was just a perfect time. Like it was, if you're going to go to Barcelona, you got to go in September. It's nice and warm, but you know, the days are long and the sunsets are beautiful and they got the rooftop bars with the Spanish flamenco music playing. And it's just so beautiful and romantic. And that's what really got me. So I would say Barcelona, Paris, and God, I mean, I still think those are probably my favorite places that I've gone with you.
I would definitely say Paris because it's just like one of my favorite cities, and like I studied abroad there, and when I was there studying abroad, I just knew I was like, I have to come back here with Omied. It was my first time out of the country, so I was just like, oh my god, this is incredible. And so like to go and spend a couple of weeks there for our honeymoon was so special. I am surprised that you didn't say Santorini as like another.
That was special. That's true.
Oh my gosh,
that
Santorini
was very special, actually.
Was not that long ago. It was like 5 months ago. We went in early October, and we stayed at the Mystique. It was this incredible hotel that's just like, you know, the cave style, like built into the side of the cliffs. I had been trying to book this hotel for like literally 4 years, and first I'd been saving up points. Then there was no availability because it's like there's only 30 rooms or so. Then they were under construction. Then the pandemic hit. And so I finally booked it during the pandemic, like before the vaccine came out or anything. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to book it for October of next year and just, you know, cancel it if we don't have, if we're not able to travel by then. But fortunately, you know, vaccine rolled out last spring and we were able to go. And it was just amazing. It was so beautiful, so romantic, great food. Like,
it was definitely a once in a lifetime experience staying at that place.
Yeah, like, I mean,
it was just
Omied convinced me to get up for sunrise, and like we had our own like private hot tub, so we would get up for sunrise, watch the sunrise from our hot tub. He'd make me a little espresso. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because it's like people are thinking like, oh, Elise got to get up super early. I think it was like 7:30.
No, it was like 6:50.
Was it?
It was like by 7 a.m. Yes. No, which it wasn't like 5 a.m., but still like 7 a.m. on vacation. Yeah. That's early for me.
To get Elise up anytime before 8:30 in vacation is a huge feat.
Well, apparently all you need is a hot tub, a caldera, ocean view, and a sunrise, and I'm there.
Yeah. And like a nice espresso ready to go.
Yes. He would make me espresso every morning. So that was definitely one of my favorite places we went to together.
That was special. Yeah. But Paris, I would say, holistically ruined me for the rest of my life in terms of food, because I'm pretty sure I've never gone under like 175 pounds since visiting Paris. Because everything I make now includes butter. And
Omied makes pate now. He's made pate and it's insane.
And it's all Paris's fault. Like before Paris, I was okay with not using as much butter. It was probably better for me. Anyway, so that's a different topic.
Wow, this was fun.
It was fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me at, should I say it? Omied.com. Not .com.
Oh,
this is why I'm not a blogger. This is why I'm not an influencer. Just forget everything I just said. You can just edit all this out.
I love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. How cute is Omied? I just love him so much. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation. This one was just for fun, maybe a little bit of advice and tips, but mostly just answering kind of frequently, asked questions that we get about our relationship and things that I thought you guys might want to know. So don't forget to subscribe to the What the Fab podcast through whatever platform it is that you are listening through. And if you wouldn't mind taking 30 seconds to rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts, that would be amazing. I love reading those reviews. And lately I've been getting a lot of DMs from people just kind of chatting about episodes that they happen to listen to and giving suggestions for future topics. And I am loving that. It's giving me so many ideas. I really appreciate that. So if you have thoughts on episodes that you would like to hear in the future, definitely slide in my DMs. I'm at WTFab and I can't wait to hear from you. And we'll be back next week with another interview.